had the Danger Pro Series 6.5 metre walk around for 6 months, and I've actually done 500 hours on it already, and it has been absolutely brilliant for me up here in the remote, isolated waters of Brood Island. When I'm down out in the blue water, calm water, rough weather, doesn't matter, all the way to little tiny creeks over in Blue Mud Bay, chasing barramundi or mangrove jacks. It actually does it all. I can even fish along shallow reefs or deep water jigging or bottom fishing on deep water reefs, anything like that. It's absolutely perfect for what I'm doing. Because I've got the ability to run around the boat, I can actually fish off the front while I'm up in the creek, and there's a huge platform. It's really stable to have a couple of people fishing for barramundi, for instance, on one side of the boat. But at the same time, if we're in a tournament for billfish and we've got 4 people on board, I can actually have enough room in the back deck to be bill fishing for 3 days and comfortably all fishing with so much room that we've got on the boat as well. Because it's got such a big deck, you can put 2 swags out the back and 2 people can be sleeping out the back, and I can also sleep 2 people in the cabin, which is perfect when we have our competitions, and then stow everything into the cabin because it's so big inside. Another thing about the deck is just the really high sides and also being able to put your feet underneath the side of the gunnels. So you can actually, when you hook up to a really big fish, you can actually sit there comfortably and lock in, especially if you really want to load up on a big fish if you're bringing them up from the bottom, or if you're on a marlin, especially a marlin, or a big sailfish for a long period of time. You're actually comfortable and feel really secured. I spoke to the guys at Northbank months in advance just about a few features I really wanted to have on this boat. Things like having the extra rocket launchers, real important for me because I take so many fishing rods out on the water. Having the massive kill tank, which for me doubles up as a huge esky. The guys at Northbank, honestly, anything you needed, they'd work through every single thing to make it exactly what you want. The boat is absolutely brilliant, and having it out here on Brood Island and being so remote, it's not the place where you want things to go wrong. And you know what, with the Northbank, apart from the fact it doesn't go wrong, their after-sales service and help has been brilliant with what I need, especially when I'm out here on Brood Island. Up in the Helm, what I've actually gone for is just a single pedestal seat. I've actually taken the other one out. That's just something that I wanted because of the way that we go fishing on our remote trips. In the Helm, there's plenty of room for all your electronics. The steering wheel and the way that that's actually structured with the knob on the handle is unreal for when we're fighting a billfish, especially. We can reverse down and spin it around. It's really comfortable. There's a little ledge there you can just stand up on. We've got a raised deck as well in the Helm, which I sort of really wanted so we have better vantage point out the back of the boat when we're bill fishing, and also when we're driving into shallow, sketchy areas, and we'll push the boundaries at times and go into sort of uncharted areas. We have the ability to see over the top a little bit easier because we're up a little bit higher. So the Helm, there's heaps of room for all your electronics. So there's a big area to put a nice big screen. You can actually mount other screens up on the side. I've gone with some scan struts and put those in just to have it a bit different. I've also got like the autopilot, I've got the display for that, got the electronics on there. So there's heaps of room for that. There is a lot of storage on this boat, and it's actually surprising once you go in and start digging in, and especially in the cabin. There's like a little shelf that runs around the top inside the cabin, which you can store a lot of things, and they basically, for me, stay permanently in there. Because I do so many trips, I'll have one shelf with just all the bedding for myself and my wife that stay on one side of the boat, first aid kits, all that stuff permanently in that side of the boat. Then on the other side, we've got heaps of room to put dry food, and there's still more after that. Underneath in the seats, there's an option in the middle to put the pads in. So that actually goes over the top of where I've got a fridge that's bolted down. And there's even room around in front of that to put more gear, like put tarps and stuff like that in case we get a torrential downpour and we've got people on the back deck. So we've got all that room there. I put all the camping gear in front of that as well, cookers and all that stuff. Underneath both sides, there are 2 other locker compartments under there. I've got a 75-litre water bladder, which I requested to have on that side, which was, for me, it's awesome up here. At the end of the day, it's really hot and sweaty, so I've utilised that. On the other side, I've got all my life jackets. There's tons of space just in the cabin. When you come out of the cab, on the right-hand side, I've got a couple of extra batteries that run the electric motor. But on the other side, I can fit over 20 tackle trays just in the left-hand side. And if you're a nut like myself and has way too much fishing gear, when we go on these fishing trips, because we cover off so many options of fishing types, we've got all that covered. So when we're out for 4 or 5 days at a time, we can go and do our bill fishing, go barra fishing, go fishing for jacks, jigging, whatever, and it's all covered, got all of that gear, and it's all out of the way. Out the back, underneath the gunnels on the side, you've actually got the option to actually store a couple of rods on either side on those lockers. You can also put your gaff. There's plenty of room underneath. It's all tucked out of the way. The bait board area is really simple. It's got a nice little lift up lid. You can put everything underneath the utensils that you're regularly using. So you've got easy access to those. There's a couple of rod holders on that as well and a couple of stubby holders. But that can actually be made to however you require it for whatever function you're using the boat for specifically. The other cool feature with this boat is I can actually store 9 rods up the top, which for me is never enough anyway. I could probably have 100. But having 9 rods out of the way up the top is absolutely perfect. And I've also got the opportunity to put 3 down the back on the bait board. So they're the ones that are just out of the way. And really, you don't really need many more than that, to be honest. But that keeps those all neat and tidy and out of the way. The live bait tank I've gone for is really quite large, and it's on the back corner of the boat, and I can store plenty of bait in there. And I've got it plumbed in really sweetly for what I'm using it for when we're bill fishing. So I can actually just have a rod rigged up with a bait there ready to rock and roll at any time, and it can store a heap of bait in there, and it's got a really cool feature that runs off its own pump that runs that through for me. Using the Northbank Danger Pro series while we were filming the last cast was awesome. You might not see it on the show, but while we were out at sea for 9 days and 8 nights, it was absolutely gold. The ride is brilliant, and at times we had 5 people on the vessel. We had myself and Danger. We also had up to 3 production crew that obviously you might not see, but they can all tuck out of the way because there's so much room. We also had swags inside the cabin of the boat. They're all hidden out of the way. We had Pelican cases with camera gear, all sorts of stuff, all stowed out of the way. And honestly, it was absolutely the perfect vessel for what we did. There's a couple of things that I really love about the Northbank. One is when we're at rest, having 3 people on one side of the boat, the stability of the vessel is absolutely unreal. But you know what's even better? Is when you're coming home in a rough sea, the best ride of all time is with that Northbank. It is awesome.